joining us. I hope that you have had a good day in business and family and the other things that you would be doing. For those who are joining us for the first few times, my name is Betty Oloo, a long-time New Life distributor. Always very happy to be able to spend this Thursday evening trainings with you, sharing information about our products and also finding ways to better position ourselves to build our businesses and to support those who come to us for help. So from wherever you are joining us, whether you are here and on our continent of Africa or further afield, I'd like to invite you to take the next 1 hour, relax and keep your mind open, that we may be able to make the next hour a beneficial one for you in your personal capacity, as well as for your business and those in your circle of influence. So as you might have seen in your invite for today, the topic is going to be healthy aging. And this is just to say that we thank God for the many scientific and medical advances that have made it possible for us to have longer life expectancy. Here in Africa, on average, we are looking at 60 years life expectancy. Of course, unfortunately, on many parts of our continent, this is not the case. But we live in hope, and the work goes on in making the world a better place. So because of this increased lifespan, of course, we would also like to accompany it with an increased health span so that we are healthy and able to have a good quality of life for the majority of that life that we are having. So this is not always the case and has not always been the case. For most people, aging means poor health, it means reduced mobility, it means mental decline in some cases, and in general, it can mean a reduction in the quality of life. However, the great amount of research that is taking place is continuously providing us with new insights about aging. And I think as we become better informed, we are able to do more in our personal capacity, in our lifestyles, in order to support a healthy and long lifespan. So we probably already know from our cell biology that our bodies are always renewing themselves. Cells divide and then new ones are formed. Old cells die and are chewed up, and new ones divide and come in to take their places so that our tissues are always self-renewing. This means that aging is actually a process that should be quite slow and only accelerated if our systems are overwhelmed with an influx of things which need to be regulated, things which are adverse to our good health and longevity. So of course, you will know if you are a New Life distributor already, and soon also if you're a guest, that our New Life products aim to increase both our lifespan and our health span. That is, we aim at maintaining ourselves in a disease-free state for the majority of our life. And of course, a long lifespan, a long health span, that we are healthy for a long time will improve our chances of having a long life, but also will improve our chances of having a better quality of life for most of our life. And that is what we are aiming for. And today's session is really to look at some of the things we can do in our personal lifestyle and how we can use the products to support this. So some of the main processes that are involved in aging are within our power to change, whereas others are not within our power to change. So if we take an example like some of the genetic changes that take place in our bodies, we may be able to do something about some of them, while about others, we may not really be able to do much. So if you think about maybe what we are exposed to, where we live, our heredity and our gene makeup, we may not be able to change things like that. But there are other things such as exposure to pollutants and toxins, which we are better able to do something about. There are other items such as the toxins that are self-inflicted. So if you think, for example, these days it's quite possible to look online for any product that you're using to see how much toxin load it might be adding to you. So for example, for those who use makeup, use things like nail polish, lipstick, and so on, it's actually possible to check how many dangerous ingredients are in the things that you use for personal grooming, in the things that you use for cleaning your home, maybe things like scents and perfumes and so on. So that is why we say that some of the pollutants and toxins will come from our environment and they are there through no fault of our own, while others may be self-inflicted because they might be products that we are using. Maybe there might be ways of recreation that are harmful to us, maybe substances that we are using for recreation. In some cases, it could be medicines and medications that we actually need, but which our bodies are not actually able to detoxify from properly. Food additives are another one. Our food choices can be a way of increasing toxins in our system. So that is an area where it's a mixture that we can do something to ensure that exposure to toxin and pollutants are reduced where as far as we are able. Then we have another factor of aging, which I think is quite visible for many of us, and this is stress. I'm sure many of us, you've noticed how much a person can change if they go through a difficult time. Let us say they are going through a specific stressor like a loss of a loved one, or like an illness, or maybe a financial setbacks. These kind of stressors can actually be quite difficult for us to bounce back from. But again, when we talk about the topic of stress, we know that some of the stress is beyond our power to do anything about, whereas others are self-generated. Sometimes we have got mental activities that worsen the stress situation. So we'll mention this a little further on in the session. But I also wanted to mention something we often speak about, which is chronic inflammation. Inflammation is a normal body reaction which is supposed to help us respond to an attack, maybe by a disease-causing agent, or it can be as a result of an injury. So, for example, if I'm walking by a rose bush and I get scratched, then after bleeding, I may have a bit of swelling and soreness in the spot where I was scratched. That is the body starting the process of healing. But this is not what we are talking about when we are talking about chronic stress. The chronic stress that we are talking about is actually within our system and it is continuous. It never results in healing. What happens is that it's a vicious cycle that starts off and keeps on going and is quite detrimental to our health. So it can be something that is maybe as a result of our immune system being overstressed and overreacting to things which should not be causing it to react. And this can go on and on until it becomes an illness that is detrimental to our health. So knowing some of those factors, the next important thing is to think about where should we pay our attention. If we think that we all think that at least we're expecting, God willing, that we'll be in this world for at least 60 years. It is never too early to start. So if we are parents, it is important to keep some of the points in mind to start our children off in good habits that support health, so that they do not end up being ill from a very early age. Unfortunately, more and more we are seeing illnesses that in former days used to only appear in older people in their middle years, now starting to appear in children who are teenagers and even pre-teens. So because of that, even as parents, it's our responsibility to start our children on the right track. And for us adults who are already adults to look at our habits and see that our lifestyle choices keep in mind that a good deal of our good health today relies on our making good lifestyle choices. So I wanted to mention 4 organs that we have to think about because they are key organs in our our bodies, and they play very crucial roles in our health and longevity. So that thinking about them as we make our lifestyle choices is going to make sure that they serve us well for a long time. Because if these organs are endangered, they mean serious illness for us, which can mean that either we'll still have a long life, but the life will be one of spending a lot of time in hospitals, spending a lot of our resources on medical attention and so on. And these four organs are the liver, the heart, the brain, and the kidneys. I start with the liver because the liver is a master organ. This is an organ that does so many things in our bodies. And of course, we often speak about it in these sessions when we are talking about our health and our products, because the liver is involved in things like detoxing. The liver is involved in energy production. It is involved in a multitude of processes that go on in our bodies. So if our liver is ailing, it is going to affect many other aspects of our body. And so that is why we think about something like eliminating sugar and sugary items from our diet is a way to support the health of our liver, because what tends to happen is that two items that the liver treats the same is sugar and alcohol. For maybe in former years, we used to think about liver cirrhosis as being caused by excessive use of alcohol. But now the same liver problems are being seen as a result of excessive use of sugar in our diet. So when you think about a recommendation that is always there, that we should eliminate or minimize the amount of added sugar in our diet, it's because we are thinking about an important organ like the liver, which is so crucial for our bodies and our good health that we cannot afford to be careless about how we treat it, and we cannot overload it with harmful substances that are going to overwhelm it and cause it to malfunction. Then we look at something like the heart, another master organ that is the day our heart stops beating is the day our life will have ended. And so taking care of our heart health is another crucial lifestyle point. And here we think about all the many sessions that we must have had about heart and blood health, where we see that things like exercise are very important for the health of our heart, which is a small but muscular organ that benefits from aerobic exercise. We think about the types of food that we eat that ensures that our blood vessels are clear and circulation can take place efficiently, and that our heart can serve us for the entirety of our lifespan without us going through episodes like heart, different types of heart distresses. It can be something like a heart attack, which is quite serious. It can be a failing heart, which beats but is not quite efficient, and other such things. Then the other organ I mentioned is the brain. And of course, this is another master organ. And the human brain is a very important one, in not only as an organ that participates in our internal life, but also in things like our personality, our self-expression, our ability to manipulate our environment. All these are because of our brain. And this means that we have to take care of those lifestyle points that support our mental health, because if we don't do this and we start having issues to do with the brain, then it is going to affect things like our mental abilities. It's going to lead to different types of mental illnesses, depression, mood disorders, and even something as serious as dementia. So supporting brain health also very important. And of course, last but not least of these very important single organs is the kidney. The kidney occurs as a pair on either side of our abdomen, and it is another one that is highly involved in detoxing our system and keeping the fluid system in our bodies in equilibrium. So when you think about an illness like diabetes, diabetes is one of the leading causes of kidney damage today and is what is leading people to require medical services like dialysis. So again, by taking care of our lifestyle choices and ensuring that we either resolve or do not start on a life of type 2 diabetes, we can be safeguarding not only our liver, our heart, and so on, we'll also be safeguarding our kidneys and our health itself. So those four are not the only ones by all means, but I just wanted to mention them because they are big and well-known organs and ones which we are always hearing about, but which I think we should look at when we are looking at our overall health. But the other things like our immune system, there's also our skeleton. As we grow older, we may find that we lose flexibility and we lose strength. This would be because maybe our muscles are not able to put out as much strength as was formerly able to. There are other places like our guts. A lot of issues that harm our health enter our body through our mouth in the form of the food choices that we make. So gut health is another very important one. And of course, not to forget the biggest organ on our body, which is the skin. And the skin can be another organ that actually shows the aging process quite clearly. But all of these we can look at how to support through good lifestyle choices and the use of our Neolife supplements. So there are things like exercise, which we always recommend because exercise is good for our overall health. It is going to be good for our mental abilities because of the increased blood flow, and it's going to be good for our heart health. It's going to be good for our skeletal health. It's going to be good for so many aspects of our bodies that whenever we speak about health, we speak about exercise. And here I'm not necessarily saying you have to join a gym or you have to do a formal sport. It's simply making sure that our bodies, in our lifestyle incorporates a good amount of movement because we evolved as creatures that moved for the majority of the daylight hours and only rested during the night and for brief periods during the day. If you can imagine before the period we are now living in, many of our ancestors needed to walk for long periods looking for food, looking for water, tending animals, tending farms, and so on. So there was a lot of movement involved in the given day. So when we now embrace the sedentary lifestyle, it does not support our good health. But of course, life has changed, and many of us work in jobs where there are long periods of being seated or only getting up for brief periods. This means that we should be deliberate about incorporating movement in our bodies. And it is not quite the same if we maybe exercise for half an hour and then the rest of the time we are sitting down. Yes, the half an hour of exercise is important, but in addition to that, to periodically get up and move about so that we are not sitting for prolonged periods. You can find ways to incorporate walking in your day, maybe by parking at some distance so that you need to walk for at least some 4 minutes thereabouts. Or you can do your own housework so that you get some energy output put out in that way, and so on. So just to be creative about incorporating movement in your day so that you are not sedentary for such prolonged periods in order to support this. Again, mentioning, so exercise and food choices always come up. And that is because also the foods that are available to us can be either supportive of health or detrimental to our health. And again, here we talk about foods which are minimally processed and as close as possible to our ancestral foods, because these are the foods that actually support good health for us. If we embrace the Western diet, maybe because we find that we are financially able to buy more expensive things or more processed things, it is not going to support good health for us. As we can see in many parts of our continent of Africa, the reason why there is ill health is because of poverty and lack of availability of medical care. But in the West, there is also a great deal of illness, and this is because of the types of diet and additives that is in their foods. So we have the same problems, but for different reasons. We here should try to find the solutions to our specific problems by not embracing some of those habits that have been embraced for longer years in the West and have led to the health issues that we see over there. Because if we add those health issues from the West to our own health issues, our survival is going to be very difficult indeed. So then, on the lifestyle side, I wanted to mention a point or two about the brain. For our brain, it is very important to have relationships because relationships, of course, are important to support us against loneliness. One of the leading causes of losing our mental abilities is loneliness, because in having companionship, having people to talk to and interact with causes us to use our brains a lot more than we would if we are alone and maybe just watching a screen all day, every day with no one. So these types of good relationships are very important. Of course, we know that relationships can also be the cause of stresses. So it's important just to see how you can have relationships that are supportive of good mental health. So if someone is living alone and speaking less and thinking less, then you may find that there can be mental decline because of that situation where our minds are almost, we can say, sedentary, because we don't have that give and take that takes place when we are company. Then, of course, our business provides for many people. Over the years, we have known very many people who have done the business for well into their old age. And one of the reasons they kept on doing the business, I remember one lady that we met when we had started the business. She was called Hubri Kotzia, who was quite a known lady when we started in the business, but she said she'll never stop doing the business because it gave her the opportunity to interact with younger people and be aware of what is going on in the world, which she would not be able to do if she was living alone, maybe because she did not have children, I believe, if I can remember correctly. But it actually opened my eyes at that time to the fact that there are so many different reasons why people do the business. And one of the things is that you have people, positive people with whom you can interact regularly, and you can also at the same time be doing a beneficial thing for yourself and for your society. So relationship, very important for our mental health. Then a point about the immune system. The immune system is supposed to be our protector, and when it is agitated or aggravated, it can turn on us and cause autoimmune illnesses. This can usually be in response to pollutants and toxins in our system. It can be as a result of maybe something that does not agree with us that we are chronically exposing ourselves to. So the immune system should be something that we think about, because as we grow older, our immune system also grows weaker. And what we need to do is opt for foods such as colored fruits and vegetables that will support this. Now let us look at our Neolife supplements and how they play a role in healthy aging. So we have what we call our baseline supplement, and the absolute baseline is going to be the 3NN, which gives us cellular health. So it supports us from the very basic level of ensuring that our cells are functioning well. Remember that the cell is a building block of a body, and if our cells are functioning well, then we'll benefit from all the other lifestyle points, good food choices, exercise, and so on. So 3NN, very essential as a baseline. But I would say that once you reach your 30s, 40s, and so on, ProVitality is a more optimal baseline supplement, because you begin to start accumulating some of the effects of being alive for maybe 3 or 4 decades. And so rather than keep on with pre-NN as your baseline, I think that Pro-Vitality is a broader way of optimizing the baseline of supplementation. So if you are going to at least take Pro-Vitality, then it's a good start. But some research has shown that when we reach the age of 40, let's say between 40 to 45, thereabouts, our bodies begin to be more susceptible to things like problems to do with the heart, problems in the case of men to do with the prostate gland. It becomes more difficult to lose weight and easier to retain unhealthy weight and things like that, which means that we need to even be more careful with our food choices and the amount of movement. I also read that our bodies from this age begin to be less able to break down things like alcohol and coffee. And in fact, I can say this in my own personal capacity. I used to be a great fan of coffee. Remember, we are originally from Kenya, where we grow marvelous coffee, and the smells delightful and it's wonderful to drink. But I reached a point where I just had to abandon coffee, much as I loved it, because it was very difficult for me to metabolize it enough to get a good night's sleep. So this is just to say that we change as the time goes by, and we need to accept that and act accordingly so that we are not fighting against our bodies. If we cannot metabolize something, or if a certain food does not agree with us, there is no need to keep on forcing ourselves to take it, rather to look for better options that do not cause us issues. So an item that we need to incorporate here will be CalMag or multimineral alfalfa, especially for women. And this is because childbirth and as a woman moves towards her midlife, there is going to be a greater need for having a good mineral supplements, of which we can recommend multimineral alfalfa or CalMag. And we also now have magnesium that is separately available. So this ensures that our bone density is maintained so that we retain a strong skeleton that can carry us through our middle years and into our elder years. As men grow older also, we would say that they opt for multi rather than Formula 4 itself, because multi does not contain iron. Men tend not to do too well with iron supplementation, so multi is a better choice for them. But they also need to ensure that they take chelated zinc and cruciferous plus in order to protect themselves from issues to do with the prostate gland, which they become more susceptible to from this age of 40, where we start having some of these susceptibilities. So as the years go on, moving towards the elder years, 60 plus, which is where I now am at, the physical signs of change, of aging can actually speed up, and our susceptibilities to issues to do with the heart health, things like high blood pressure, things like maybe type 2 diabetes, things like muscle weakness and so on, start increasing. And this does not mean we give away. What it means is that we work within our strength. So for example, if you had been jogging in your younger years, you may opt for walking. If you had been maybe someone who liked to go on all these weight loss and weight management schemes here and there, gaining and losing weight, it's better to now opt for a plan that maintains a healthy weight by making healthy lifestyle choices rather than going suddenly on this diet or that diet. Because as probably many of us who have been on this roller coaster of weight, trying to maintain a healthy weight know, the more diets we jump on and off of, the more weight we seem to pick up and unable to lose. So rather than run after every new weight loss story that you come across, we have got plenty of information about healthy lifestyle choices, which will ensure that we can maintain a healthy weight as much as possible. In these elder years, we recommend that apart from the above mentioned, that I've already mentioned, we will need to add full motion to support our joints, because of course, here we may notice that our flexibility begins to be a bit of an issue, and things like stretching and doing joint flexibility exercises are very useful, because one of the things is that we may still be strong, but we might be stiff and not able to really move our joint to their full range of motion. So full motion, very important for ensuring that our joints are healthy. Vitamin A plus D, another excellent supplement for not only the various things for which we recommend it, but also for things like supporting good supple skin, because as we get older, our skin also starts to lose its elasticity. Vitamin A plus D helps that, and vitamin D is essential for our immune system. It is essential for our respiratory system and many other systems. So A plus D, another very important one. Vitamin C, also very good to support our immune system and to rebuild tissue, because vitamin C is involved in the making of collagen in our bodies. So another very good one. It will support us when maybe we have something like a flu or cold or some of these infections that keep running around the season, from season to season. Vitamin C helps us to be resilient against such infections. Then if an elder person notices that their energy levels tend to be low, then they can include vitamin B from time to time in their supplementation range in order to boost their energy. It will also tend to be another supplement we recommend to keep away depression and low moods. If a person in these elder years notices that their ability to sleep well and relax is not so good, then magnesium complex is another very useful supplement for muscle relaxation, for enhancing good sleep, and other processes within our bodies. Mind enhancement can be another one to support our mental sharpness as we grow older, because as you know, our personality and our ability to interact with others depends very much on our ability to maintain our mental capacities. So mind enhancement can be one that we use from time to time. Then fiber tablets, if especially if we notice that maybe for one reason or another we do not get enough dietary fiber. Of course, we should try to have a diet that provides us with fiber, but if for some reason this is not so, then fiber tablets will be important for our gut health. You know that I'm always recommending that we include our cultural fermented foods in our diet, whether it is fermented milk from your culture, fermented fish, fermented vegetables. There are many types of fermented foods that are in our cultures. And it is unfortunate that we have abandoned some of them, and often our children even find these foods repulsive, but actually they play an important role in our gut microbiome, which is essential for gut health and our immune system. So try to incorporate these things in your fermented foods in your diet. And remember that these microbes live on fiber. So the fiber that we get either is a supplement in the fiber tablets or from our diet is actually to support these microbes. And these microbes in their turn will support our gut health. Then, of course, our nutrients and personal grooming range are there to help us to be well groomed, to keep our skin supple and elastic and looking good, so that we are pleased with the way we present ourselves to our own selves as well as to those that we come across. As you know, in our business, we are the first exposure that our prospects get of the Neolife business opportunity and products. So for that reason, our grooming is an essential part of doing business. Finally, not last but definitely not least, sleep and rest becomes ever more essential as we grow older. And as I mentioned, magnesium can help with sleep and relaxation. But rest is not the same as sleep. And as the years go by, we may find that we need to pace ourselves. We may not be able to go at the same pace we used to be able to go as we were younger, but it's a matter of knowing how to pace ourselves so that we get the most out of our energy levels and out of our day and out of the things that we need to do. Sleep is extremely essential because it is only during sleep that our brains are able to detoxify themselves and to rejuvenate themselves. And this ensures that our brains will be in good working order for the entirety of our elder years. So prioritize good sleep, pace yourself so that you have time for resting. It does not reflect badly on you if you are able to pace yourself so that you do what you need to do without exhausting yourself and thereby finding yourself unable to perform altogether. So sleep, very essential, as well as rest. And I see that my time is up. And I hope that for those of you who are younger, maybe still in your 20s and so on, I very much recommend that you start on picking up good habits, getting rid of old habits uh, at, at, at this age which you are in, because you are going to just get a head start on improving your health span and your lifespan. If you are in your middle years or in your elder years, I believe it is never too late to get rid of an old habit, and it is never too late to start on a good habit. So get rid of bad habits, embrace good habits, and that way improve your life. Because as you know, for many of us, especially here in Africa, our governments and countries are not able to support us to a great degree when we have some of these chronic illnesses. And so it's all to the good if we do not rely on the hope that someone is going to be able to help us when we pick up those illnesses. So since they are called lifestyle illnesses, it means that the way to get rid of them is to have a lifestyle that does not support illness, but rather to have a lifestyle that supports good health. So I want to thank you very much for the time and the data that you have spent listening to this session. I hope that you have found it beneficial, not only to you yourself in your personal capacity, but for any elder people that are in your life, that you might be able to advise them on how they can make the later years of their lives more pleasant. And with that, let me hand you over to Pascal, who is standing by to take you through the business session of today. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Betty. Graceful aging. And look at my white hair, I think I'm in that category of people. So, ladies and gentlemen, this next session